Now, ahead of the winter storm, you likely did things like pack your car with an emergency kit or leave your faucet dripping. Did you check with your insurance provider? Those with Missouri's Department of Commerce and Insurance say that it may have been the last thing on many people's minds as they got ready for the snow. And now that the storm has passed, guess what? A lot of folks are talking to their insurance provider. It is important to see what your policy covers and what was impacted by snowfall, including things like frozen pipes, roof or vehicle damage, and power outages too. So joining me now is insurance agent Marissa Dernberger. And first of all, are you getting a lot of calls from homeowners right now after the big snowfall and freeze?
Yes, so anytime we see this type of weather, obviously we see claims. Just in my agency right now, we're seeing more on the vehicle side than homeowners. But a lot of times it does take a while for the homeowners' claims to start trickling in. A lot of times people don't necessarily see the damages right away.
So when we have a winter weather event like this, what types of things would come in if you were going to see a claim?
Yeah, so on the home side, a lot of things. The most common is frozen pipes. Especially January is a time where a lot of people will travel to go skiing or maybe go south for the, for a week or so. And a lot of times they turn down their air to try to save money on electricity, things like that. And that is something that causes frozen pipes. So that's a huge thing, especially with the frozen temps. We're seeing ice damming along roof lines. And then, frozen tree limbs, stuff like that. If that's hanging over the house or separate structures on the property, they weigh heavy and fall and cause damage.
So yeah, I mean, we had that snow and we had sleet, and both of those things weigh down trees. So
yes,
that could happen. So you're also seeing a lot of car insurance claims right now. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I know. Not everyone gets to work from home with this weather, and sometimes people have to go in no matter what. And a lot of that is, we're seeing a lot with commuters. They have lower weight vehicles, so think about your Toyota Priuses, that type of thing. So they don't do as good on the snow or these road conditions. So unfortunately, we're seeing a little bit of those, as well as, some can be preventative maintenance. So check your tires before the winter weather hits, whether they're kind of balding and you might need to get new ones. That helps on these road conditions. Or windshields. If you have a little crack, when the temperature drops, it turns into
a big crack.
Yes. Okay. So that's a big difference on a claim too, whether it's free or you're going to have to hit a deductible.
Gotcha. And then what are some kind of things that we should consider, like what is covered, what is not covered? Are there any pitfalls that homeowners could fall in this time of year, if they did leave their house unattended for a while?
Yes, so rental properties are a huge thing in the winter because if they're vacant, that changes the coverages that you have, as well as frozen pipes. That's a huge one. So it's really hard to say because it depends on your policy. So that's something that you would need to call your agent about and just go over the coverages and just say you're trying to prepare for the winter months. Is this covered? Is that covered? One thing is making sure weight of ice, sleet, and snow is covered on your policy.
Gotcha. Okay, good tips. Thank you so much for coming in and chatting with us.